Therefore, after all has been said and done, it's now my singular honor to invite our guest of honor, Mr. Emerson D. Mnangagwa, His Honor the Vice President of the Republic of Zimbabwe, but also the learned Minister of Justice, Legal and Parliamentary Affairs of the Republic of Zimbabwe. He needs no introduction. I think this is sufficient. Your Honor, the Vice President, over to you.
May I say my apologies when my two colleagues came to Harare to meet me. I had two colleagues. We had our Politburo. Well, it reminds us of Marxism and Leninism, but we had our Politburo, ZANU-PF. And I had to choose whether I missed the Politburo and meet my classmates, possibly lose my job, or I attend the Politburo and come and apologize. So I thought I should just apologize. I appreciate the unique privilege of addressing you today. And once again, rubbing shoulders with colleagues and long-standing apprentices from the class of 1975. In my new capacity as the State Vice President and the Minister of Justice, Legal and Parliamentary Affairs of the Republic of Zimbabwe, as well as Vice President and Second Secretary of the ruling Revolutionary Party of Zimbabwe, ZANU-PF, that is Zimbabwe African National Union Patriotic Front, I wish to express my profound gratitude and admiration to the class of 1975 organizing committee for working so hard to make tonight's event outstanding and bringing us together. I never dreamt of it. In the class, the only person I used to meet, because I wanted to borrow some money, was Michael. When he was governor, the president of the PD Bank. But besides, in the class, we were sitting next to each other throughout. So I took advantage of that. Thank you, God. Learned colleagues, I am profoundly grateful for having been invited to this commemorative reception and a dinner, which has provided us with yet another opportunity to invoke fond memories of our academic exploits at the University of Zambia Law School. Indeed, it is an opportune time to renew contacts, share experiences, discuss and find lasting solutions to the ever dynamic and increasingly changing social, economic, diplomatic, and political developments in our region and beyond. This will go a long way towards uniting our peoples and focusing our energies towards common sustainable development issues affecting us. Professor Vuka, you remember you were giving us lots of assignments. But then sometimes when I got tired with your assignments, I would go to, you remember Professor Seidman,
yes,
who was teaching economics? Yes. I would go to his class when I got tired of your assignments. to listen to Professor Seidman in economics. One good thing he said, and I'll come back to your class, was that he said law was an instrument for development. So I realized I was in the wrong class, the correct class. Law was an instrument for development. I don't forget that one. So despite the pressure you're giving us, law is an instrument for development. Learned colleagues, this 40th anniversary of the University of Zambia Law School class of 1975 comes as it does on the eve of the 51st anniversary of the attainment of Zambia's independence on 24th October 1964. A development which enabled this great country to provide real bases and help the Zimbabwe nationalists ourselves as freedom fighters. We will forever be grateful to the Zambian government and people for this great act of solidarity and the collective sacrifice when people of this great nation endured forays by the Rhodesian army at a great expense to themselves. The selfless dedication by the people of this great nation in sharing their newly independent country for the liberation of her sister regional countries is evidenced by the many Zimbabwe war shrines in Solwezi, north, Old Mkushi and Mulungushi in the central province, Nampundwe, Chikumbi, and Kabala Manja in the east. We thank you for that service. Learned colleagues, it is gratifying to note that the UNZA Law School class of 1975 is still intact. Yes, I now realize after about 20 or 24, our colleagues have passed on. But most of our classmates have become luminaries in various fields of human endeavor. I have noted that some of that team have become prominent attorneys, advocates, public administrators, judges, heads of public financial institutions and parastatals, chief executive officers, and some, like me, have chosen to become servants of the people. I'm not saying others are not. But this is what we politicians call ourselves. We call ourselves servants of the people. This is clear testimony of the importance of the enduring legacy of legal education and the importance that African governments place on investing in institutions of higher learning, such as the University of Zambia. You may be aware that back home in Zimbabwe, we are passionately driven by my principal, His Excellency the President, Comrade R.G. Mugabe, to continue to invest in education. This man, President Mugabe, has 7 university degrees. Not granted or honored, sitting examinations. Sitting examinations. Something else. This is so, as education is the only way we can empower communities and create a society of equals despite our varied people's backgrounds. On a related note, I wish to acknowledge the role played by the Republic of Zambia, not only in educating and nurturing many other Zimbabwean luminaries who were either in law school or were pursuing other disciplines in the country's institutions of excellence. I also want to take this opportunity on behalf of the government and people of the Republic of Zimbabwe to express my appreciation and gratitude to the government of the Republic of Zambia for its continued support through the enrollment of Zimbabwean students into various institutions of higher learning, which include the University of Zambia, Copperbelt University, Mulungushi University, University of Lusaka, Lusanga University, and many others for study in various fields encompassing law, legal studies, medicine, and economics, accounting and finance, among others, at both and under postgraduate levels. My learned brothers and sisters, we should also be mindful of the fact that the opportunity we got to study law at UNZA 40 years ago was not a privilege of a greatest number, but of a select few like you and me. Be that as it may, we should not forget to carry the burden of many who could not be privileged to access that opportunity at that time. While we may not be able to provide all they need, we can always be instrumental in our various positions to formulate policies and to craft strategies for implementation of those policies for the good of the greatest number. My learned colleagues, as you may be aware, in developing countries such as ours, emerging markets, and nations in transition, the achievement of economic, social, and political development requires the creation of a strong legal institutions. In that spirit, we can be vehicles for sustainable development through inspiring the establishment of strong institutions which are able to checkmate the overbearing influence of strong personalities, which in turn creates fertile ground for corruption, red tape, bureaucracy, administrative constipation, and other undesirable tendencies which are inimical to sound corporate governance practices. The often mentioned Zambian-Zimbabwean solidarity is no mere passing and ephemeral phrase for me, as my life is a clear testimony of that well-established solidarity. As intimated in the introductory remarks, I relocated this great nation 60 years ago, in 1965. 1955. As a very young boy, during early years of the Federation of Rhodesia and Nyasaland. That's when I came to Northern Rhodesia. I then attended Nyoe Primary School, somewhere in Mumbo, Chipshakumbila. And then proceeded to Mumbwa Boys School, again in Mumbwa. Then went to Kafue. I proceeded to Kafue Trade School, and later on to Hodgson Technical College, 1959. I understand it's now called Counter Institute. Yeah, it's now called Deft Counter Institute. But at the time, it was Hodgson Technical College. But we were expelled at that college because at the time, UNIP had just been formed, and there was an aluminum mundia in the Nakayumba Spala. We had just come into Northern Rhodesia at the time. The firebrands. So they came to the college where we were, and they recruited us into this new part. I was made in a house wing C at the college. And I was the head of the unit branch there. So we organized to burn a house, one of the houses. But I can't be arrested now. Immunity. And those who can remember, Musumbula was Minister of Education. Yes. After education. So we built this house. The lecturer was white and had gone to England on holiday. So we built his house. Then they were very smart. What they did was the Northern Rhodesian CID, well, it was Northern Rhodesia then, they brought other students from other colleges around Northern Rhodesia to come at Hodgson as visitors to see. Ours was quite an elite college. So they put one student in each house, and one came to where I was living, house, Wing C. So we all agreed that during the night we must tell them that when they go back to their school, they must burn the schools there. But these were all CIDs. So over just one night, they gathered the entire information of how we've done it. So next morning, we went for a breakfast. It was a big breakfast. And before breakfast, we were told we must pray. I can't remember this guy who prayed. So we all keep quiet. So he says, "Oh God, bless our breakfast and chase away the policemen outside." Because as we were inside the hall, we saw the police surrounding our hall. Then after breakfast, the whistle was blown, we went out, and our names were read out. Without mistake, all of us, the 24 of us, got expelled. That's how we got expelled at Washington Technical College. However, I then, with a colleague, what was his name? Mwimbi. I'm on the, I know you cannot remember yourself. It was at college at Hodgson. This is in 58 or 59. No, you weren't there yet. We then formed our own construction company, which lasted 3 months. Because after we built a classroom block, we shared the money. That was the end of the company. And then we moved on. Now let's see where I was. Now, in keeping with the period of high politics of the Federation and developments back home, it was imperative that I join UNIP Youth League in Lusaka during that same year of my expulsion from Hodgson Technical College in 1960. Upon joining the UNIP Youth League, I was catapulted into full-time political activism, campaigning against the white federal regime. I operated in Chingola. Bancroft is now Chilavongwe, yes. And the Konkola, I think somewhere north, was up. We built some few houses.
It's all about baby.
In Chilavongwe. Then we ran away via Konkola. Then there's Kasumalesa border.
Yes.
Yeah. So we skipped into Elizabethville then, just to run away from the police. But I then came back and joined the Rhodesian movements, which was ZAP then. And then we went. Then I went, when I came back, I left for Tanganyika, not Tanzania, Tanganyika, and stayed at Mbeya, where I stayed with the likes of James Kerem, I think you heard about him, Clement Mchachi, and Dana. I proceeded to Egypt in 1963, where I underwent military training at Heliopolis Military Academy, and later moved to China for further training. Why? When we were at Heliopolis, we were just beginning our training under ZAP, under Joshua Nkomo. Then they split back home here. Nkomo and the Reverend Stole and Mugabe, and the father of the ambassador, Takawina, the rebels, the father of the ambassador and the Mugabe and the Reverend Stole. What's the fourth one? Washington Maliana. Those are the rebels. They split away from Nkomo, ZAP, and they formed ZAN. But then we, the young ones, we joined the rebels because when you are young, you're always rebellious. So we joined the Mugabe rebels to the group. And Egypt under Abdul Kamal Nasser then supported Nkomo. So we were detained. So my first prison experience was in Cairo. I was then put to prison there. We were 13 of us. 11 decided to join the new group, and only 2 remained with ZAP, so they could not continue with their training, and they were sent to the US. We then came back, we were brought back to Tanganyika then. And we stayed for a short while. Around September 63, out of the 11, 6 decided to go back to not continue with the struggle. They went back to Rhodesia. But 5 of us were still determined. And we were the first group that went to China and Mao Zedong. I want to tell you this one. On the 22nd of November 1963, we were in class being indoctrinated, communism. Then all of a sudden, a Chinese, one of the Chinese lecturers rushed into our class and began Then the interpreter said, "Oh, comrades, good news." So we all, the leader of international imperialism, John F. Kennedy, has been assassinated. Yes. And we were given off because at that time, China, Russia, it was during the Cold War. And they called the leaders of West leaders of international imperialism. So I remember that we were given off, and they were given many beers. You can see the journey we've traveled. It's very good. Then when we graduated, then we went to Nanking Academy, again in China, where I did my infantry. After completing, I went to another school for military engineering, where you learn how to make grenades, booby traps, how to blow things like this room, how to destroy it. So then, after training in China, I returned to Southern Rhodesia, the present day Zimbabwe, in 1964. And they plunged headlong into military operations under the time of the Crocodile Gang. I think you've heard about it. And the Southern Rhodesian regime preferred to describe us bordered on sporadic attacks, a series of guerrilla operations, and engaging in acts of sabotage. One such incident was when we blew up a locomotive in the then southern province of Fort Victoria, now called Masvingo. We were 2. My colleague is also late. In fact, all the 5 I trained with are all late. I'm the only one surviving. We were under pressure from our leaders to blow up things. So we went to this place, the airport, the aerodrome in Fort Victoria at night to blow up the plane, which was there were 2 small planes which were there. But unfortunately, we decided to take a bit of drink beer before we did some work. We arrived at this place, and of course, with instruments to break the doors. Not that I'm a house breaker, no. It's professional. It's revolutionary. It's not criminal. But then, we sat in the small plane and we dozed off. At dawn, my colleague Matthew Malo woke me up, and we had run away from we didn't blow it up. So we then said we will not again take drink before action. So the next day, we spent the day in the bush. The next day when we came back, the next evening when we came back, the planes, there was no plane. So on our way back, we found this locomotive shunting. We decided this was Christmas for us. So we blew it up. As a result, this is why my brother was saying I was sentenced to death. Yes, I was. But then, the lawyer's name, my brother, was J.J. Won. That was the lawyer who came to assist. Was a very brilliant lawyer. Well, actually, he was Canadian, but he was in Britain, but he was Canadian. J.J. Won. He then came after my conviction. Because of my size, I had a very small body. At the time, the age of majority was 21, not 18 as today. And I think I was 21, or almost nearly 21. But they said, no, let's examine him. They took me to doctors. It wasn't my bones, it was the teeth. They examined my teeth. 3 separate doctors. One said I qualify for any, 2 said no. So I had the benefit of doubt. That's why I'm here. Some of my colleagues committed these crimes and sabotage and blowing up things were hanged. And I had the pain to what they did was, please, I don't want to disturb your dinner, but I'll tell you this. At Harare, at Salisbury prison, which is now Harare prison, that's where people are hanged. So you go there, when I was sentenced to death, you go there, and I met some of my colleagues there, who then got hanged, they survived. They used to hang on a Tuesday. So on a Monday, you are taken to the first floor. Then on a Tuesday, from 8 o'clock, they sound some machine. You get hanged at 9. But for 1 hour, there's a machine